Wes Goldberg, happy March Madness. I will say you and I are neither you or I are big college basketball fans. I would say I dive in this time of year. I do a bracket for fun. I don't put any money on it because I light enough money on fire in my own life anyway. But my cold open is related to March Madness, and that's that West Virginia was universally decided was like the biggest snub of this year's class. North Carolina shouldn't have got in, all that stuff. It went as far as the governor of West Virginia demanding an investigation into why this happened and demanding justice. Aided by Pat McAfee, West Virginia alum, on his show in his pulpit, like basically saying that similar things. Wes, if you were a elected official, what basketball injustice are you demanding an investigation into?
Two things before I answer your question. Number one, I have no sympathy for West Virginia whatsoever. I'm still mad at Frank Beamer because I grew up a Hurricanes fan. So I've never West Virginia was always one of the teams. Oh no, that was Virginia Tech. Sorry.
Yeah, never that's mind. The wrong. Yeah, you're just classic West, just misconfusing the Appalachian regions of this country. Classic Miami elite bullcrap from you. You know.
Well, since we're there, let's just go. Let's skip my number 2 point, and this would be what I would have an issue with. I am the governor of presumably a big market, presumably Miami here, since that's where I live. And I'm sick of you small markets complaining about stuff. Sorry, not our fault. People throughout life will flock to New York, Miami, Los Angeles. That's why they're the most populated places in the country. That's why they are big markets. Stop complaining. It's not unique to basketball. Get over it. Do what you have to do. Let's not sit here and pretend that the greatest dynasty in NBA history wasn't in San Antonio. The Milwaukee Bucks recently won a championship. The Denver Nuggets recently won a championship. I don't want to hear all this small market stuff. It's loser talk. And if you don't want to be a loser, stop talking like a loser. That's my gripe.
It's a good take. Extreme capitalist stuff from you, but I get it. Like there are also big markets that have been absolutely disasters for a while. And I would just say it doesn't even necessarily matter if you're in a big city. I think we're learning in the NBA. The Brooklyn Nets weren't an immediate success. That's like basically a small market team in a big city in a lot of ways. Like that's the reality. Like that is I think the case for more teams. We realize like the Bulls are the most historic franchise in the league in a lot of ways because of Jordan and in a big market. And it hasn't really meant anything. So it is just about, I think, how you run an organization more than anything else. Mine is very simple. Let's just speed up games a little bit, guys. Like, these things take too long. The timeouts are too long. Got too many in-game activities that don't really accomplish anything. I don't need to see 6 guys miss half-court shots by a wide margin for the smear chance you're going to get $10,000. Let's just, move stuff along. Everyone knows.
You know what my easiest fix for that? Go. I know we keep teasing the episode where we're going to fix the NBA, but here's my real quick fix for speeding up the end of games. No timeouts.
Sorry. I could not agree. Yeah, I
just don't have them.
Yeah.
You didn't you have enough coaching the first 45 minutes of this basketball game?
You should be able to. The compromise I would make there is teams get to advance the ball, but they don't get to actually have the timeout.
Whatever amount of timeouts you have. Automatic advance the ball, but you're advancing the ball right away. The referee has the ball. The coach never steps out. No clipboards. You automatically advance the ball. Coach calls out a play from the sideline. Ref gives it to the guy. Inbounds. We're moving. But you just advance the ball. That's it. I'm with you on that.
Let's speed it up. And let's also actually time timeouts. If a timeout is 60 seconds, it shouldn't take 2.5 minutes. It should take 60 seconds.
Yeah, so I have 2 fixes that I've come up with this week. Number one, teams... we already talked about this. Teams that are resting their players and purposely tanking, you fine them $10 million a day. We're done. That gets rid of tanking. Full stop.
Where does the money go? Does it go to small market teams, Wes, or what's the deal?
No, it goes more to the big market teams because they're big markets and they deserve it because that's how they are entitled. I think, and then the second one is, if you go over your if you call the 60-second timeout, and you go over your 60 seconds, the other team is allowed to just go on the court and take the ball. The ref just gives them the ball. You've given up possession and it counts as a turnover.
I'll take $125,000 in benefits to be the Cavs timeout management guy. That's a new position I'm gonna nominate myself for. We solved it. All right, on to the issue. We've got a fun draft for you. We are gonna draft teams of 7 players each from the teams that aren't in the playoffs. We'll explain the rules in more detail, but we're going to do a little fun draft, talk about some of the worst teams in the league that still have some really good players, weirdly enough, on today's show. Let's go. What is up, everyone? Chris Manning, Wes Goldberg here, the Just Basketball Show, your twice weekly show covering all things hoops. If you haven't already, please subscribe, rate, review on your podcast platform of choice. Hit that notification bell if you have not already. 5-star reviews only, please, and thank you again. If you're watching the show, listening to the show, send us a little note and we'll shout you out on the show. But we are also powered, Wes, by our friends at BetMGM.
That's right. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code JUSTBasketball. You'll get up to $1,500 on a first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android. Sign up using the code JUSTBasketball. Deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game, maybe even a men's basketball tournament game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. Just make sure to use the bonus code JUSTBasketball when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to wager. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, Wes, let's explain the rules of the draft. This is simple, and you tell me if as we tend to do here, I explain it first, you tell me if I did a poor job explaining it and fill in the gap. So here's the rules. Each of us are going to draft a team of guys on the teams that are 11 through 15 in their respective conferences. So if they are in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, they are ineligible. Even if they're the 10th seed. So think about all the Heat players, all the guys like just sneaking into the playoffs right now that are going to probably lose in round one anyway or not make it out of the plan. Can't draft them. Number 2, you can't draft injured players. So if you're Sixers, you say, hey, Embiid, I'm going to take him and build my team around him. Can't do it. He's hurt. We're going to build 7-man teams each to mimic a playoff rotation. And the goal here is to build a functional team to see how they would do in the playoffs. That is the goal. Wes, should we also, I think I'm adding this on the fly here, should at the end of it, we each pick a coach?
Okay. Yep.
At the end, we'll pick a coach. We'll pick a team, one of the coaches from these bad teams, and pick it. This is your idea. It was a great idea, so I'm going to give you first overall pick. Who do you want? And we're going to just go back and forth.
Ooh, I almost don't want
I can go first. I can go first.
No, you gave it to me. I'll play by the rules.
Fine. If you didn't want it, I would take it because I have a guy I'm just going to take and not even think twice about it.
All right, you go.
I'm going to take Kevin Durant first.
All right.
Here's the thing about Kevin Durant. I understand he's older. I understand this is a different version of him where I don't know if game in and game out in a 7-game playoff run or anything, he's just going to light up the world. It's certainly not been the best year for Kevin Durant's career. Like, this has not been a good year as like a referendum on what KD still is, but I just believe you put him on a more functional team and I have that guy making shots in the half court against really good defenses, and I surround him with the right other talent and just have better vibes. I believe in good outcomes with Kevin Durant still in my team. It's why he's going to get traded this summer and the Suns at least get something of a good return back. It is why he's still an incredibly valuable half-court player. That is still a playoff performer at the highest level. It sucks we're not going to see him in that stage this year where you don't have many more left of this with KD. That's the guy that I want. Even if he's the older one, even if there's younger stars I could have picked, I just want KD on my team for the playoffs. I want that guy.
All right, so that leads me to the second pick, and I think I'm going to surprise you here.
Okay, can I just ask about the Durant thing? Are you surprised that's where I went 1?
No, that's where I would have went to, and it's almost why I didn't want it because it felt a little too easy.
Okay.
I'm in the business of interesting content. I'm going Zion Williamson here.
This is crazy. This is crazy, Wes.
Have you watched this guy play lately?
It's unbelievable. I mean, it is when he is like healthy, there is very few guys in the league that are more tantalizing than that guy still.
This is The Sopranos. I think I'm out, and he pulls me back in 100%, and I recognize that. But the idea here is to presumably make a surprising Cinderella type of run through the playoffs. And so I'm going for ceiling. I'm going for potential. And if I get Zion right, that is the kind of advantage creator who can take over a game, a series, a playoff run. And so, I mean, this guy is routinely putting up 30 points, the assists, the triple doubles, or the near triple doubles, I should say. All of that stuff is there. He's got the ball in his hands now more than ever in New Orleans. He's the kind of guy who I feel like I can build around, and it's going to be challenging to build around him. But you've got Kevin Durant. I love Kevin Durant. We have seen what healthy Kevin Durant and even healthy Devin Booker together can do in Phoenix, and it's not even make the playoffs. I would have loved to see what the Pelicans could have done with this version of Zion Williamson all season. Fortunately for me, I don't need Zion healthy all season. I just need him healthy for a couple of months. And right now, he looks damn good. So I'm taking Zion with my number one pick. I'm going to build around him.
Look, I certainly could have done worse. I think with the number one pick, this is not where I thought we were going to go with those. This is the second pick. I think if you're building the case of like lottery ticket, can this just get hot at the right time? This is a good foundation as any, because he would be, as the kids say, like a problem in a playoff series for teams to guard. Like, it would be fascinating to watch like bowling ball awesome Zion against OKC, for instance, in round one, or against like Denver in round one, or the Lakers in round one. Like, that is the kind of guy that I think could make these teams sweat in round one. So I get it. I'm scared of it. Absolutely scared of it, but I get it.
Could Zion be the best player in a series against I'm trying, like, the bottom of the could he be the best player in a series against Memphis?
Yes.
Could he be the best player in a series against Golden State? I think so. I don't know that I would pick it, but
Curry's fatigue and what we kind of saw Kerr talk about this, like, he needs to get right. I also think Jimmy needs to get more aggressive, but I would almost like hedge on like who decides that series. It's probably, I would still lean Steph and then Jimmy before I get to Zion.
Zion could be the best player in a series against Houston, no question.
Yes.
The only teams I'm ruling it out against are, Denver, Lakers, Oklahoma City, probably Minnesota because of Anthony Edwards. And that's about it. I feel like Zion could be the best player in a series. I'm not saying he would be. Please, people, don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying he could be if he has an awesome series against any other team in the West. So I'm taking that guy.
Okay. I respect it. It scares me, but I respect it.
You're up.
Go to my next pick. I'm going to go.
I kind of put you in a weird spot here.
You did. And I think there's one of two guys. There's three guys at this one position that I like, that I think I know I'm going to get one of them later. So I don't have to rush this now. And I even have like a break glass cage of emergency option. So I'm going to pick based on like value and skill set, I think, of the guys left, Wes. And I'm going to take Lauri Markannen.
You're kind of swooping me here, because that's the obvious guy I need kind of next to Zion. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. This is I'm doing good content, as you said. The thing with Markkanen is that I really think, as much as he got ballyhooed for the leap in Utah, he had a really nice leap in Cleveland, and then it had another jump into Utah. And yes, it's kind of in a weird spot now. In that Utah's actively being criminal in terms of playing their guys that are healthy and actively using them. But that is a guy whose ability to score on the ball, his ability to defend, his ability just to be big, to give you lineup flexibility, and most importantly, space it off of your primary scorers. Like, I think that is an A-plus playoff skill set. I understand why Golden State wanted him. I wouldn't be surprised if this summer we hear other teams calling on Markkanen again. I don't know like if that would happen. Dealing with Danny Ainge is historically just a problem. But that is a guy with a really, really good playoff skill set and how he's developed first in Cleveland and then Utah. And he's just one of the rare skill sets we have at the bottom of the league. Like, you can find guys on bad teams that can score, put up buckets, rebound, and defend the rim a little bit. You can find options there. It's kind of hard to find like the big shooting forward among these teams. There's like one other option, not one I like as much. I think Markkanen is much, much better than the other option, at least I have on my list. So I'm going Markkanen here, and I feel great about it.
So I would probably not fall into the NBA Twitter dorkdom part that of the fan base of NBA fans that loves Lauri Markkanen. I think he's good. He's obviously had a down year this season. maybe that's just because Utah stinks and doesn't care about winning, and it's really hard to thrive in that kind of environment, and that's why they should continue to be fined every single day. But I think this is a little high for Markkanen compared to who's on the board. So I respect your ability to swoop and take the guy who's the obvious fit next to Zion, but there's better guys on the board. I'm a little surprised you went this direction.
Here's the thing. I think this is why I did this. There are 3 guys I really like for a certain skill set, and I'm going to get one of them with my next pick no matter what. So I'm going to take the guy I cannot find elsewhere. That is my thought process. I'm trying to win this draft, Wes. I'm not here to pick the best guys in order. I'm here to win the fucking draft. Okay?
I'm going to go Devin Booker next.
Okay, this is one of the guys in my trio, and frankly, this probably should have been the second pick if we're keeping it 100. Like, this probably should have just been should have went KD and Booker, despite all of the nonsense this year. That's probably how this draft should have gone.
Probably, but I also knew that there was no way you could take 2 Suns in a row.
I could have tried, I could have done it.
I mean, maybe the idea could have been, well, it doesn't work for them, but I could build out better depth, and maybe that could have been. That could have been an option, right? But you can't take 2 Suns in a row given the season that they've had. So I was betting that you wouldn't do that. I actually didn't think you would take Markkanen, but I wanted Booker because I think Zion and Booker are it's a basketball heaven partnership. I know it's been a little bit of a down year for Devin Booker, but we've seen him in the playoffs. He's a playoff guy. He's an MFer. I think him with Zion, there's gravity there. I think it works. I think Booker doesn't need the ball to be effective. He could play a little bit off the ball. We saw that in the Olympics and things like that. I think Zion is a guy who is going to basically be my point guard here, point forward type deal. So I like Zion. I like Booker. I feel like I don't need to explain this that much. I think Booker's also the best guy left on the board, so I just went with him.
I mean, the thing with Booker is that even amid all of this year, it's like if you're talking about one of the guys in the league you would be comfortable just turning the ball over to in a tight half-court game, he's still on the list of guys that you're just like, yeah, I can trust him to kind of keep our ship running and keep the offense running, even if everything else isn't working. Like, that's the beauty of having Devin Booker on your team.
With Zion and Book, I know what I'm doing in the last 2 minutes of a close game, right? I'm just running pick and roll with those 2 guys. I'm getting Zion or Booker isolated against the better mismatch, and I'm letting them go to work. Both of those guys are awesome isolation scorers. I know how it works. They're the foundation upon which I'm building everything. I feel good about it.
All right. It's a great pick. So this leads me to take... I'll just be transparent about it, Wes. I have 2 guys here on my list that I'm thinking about here. Booker would have been my pick if you didn't take him. And I'm torn between Tyrese Maxey and I'm torn between De'Aaron Fox. One of these guards I had to get...
De'Aaron Fox is out for the season.
Oh, that's right.
So it makes your decision a lot easier.
So I'm taking Tyrese Maxey.
There you go.
How did I? Wow, this is bad look for me. Shout out to the Spurs.
That's okay. It's a fake injury. I mean, it's one of those things that once Wemby went down. I mean, I shouldn't say it's a fake injury, but it's season-ending finger surgery. It's not exactly. Yeah.
So I'm going Tyrese Maxey.
This guy played through a finger injury in the playoffs a few years ago.
Yeah, there's no point in them playing. It's about tanking. I'm taking Maxey. Look, dynamic scorer, can play some point guard, gives me another shot maker. I am very much leaning on sort of a traditional playoff recipe here of 2 guys who can handle the ball and score. But it's I really still love Maxey, Wes, even though this has been this is a top 5 disaster year of all time for the Sixers. With Paul George being out for the year, with Embiid's future, frankly, just would scare me. Paul George's future scaring me. There's another highlight I don't want to say because it would tip a pick for me. But Maxey is still just a guy that I'm like, you know what? Ultimately, this is going to take a while to figure out. But if you can still figure out how to retool around him in time, I still think you're going to be in a good spot because Maxey's really damn good. Really explosive, 3-level scorer, good decision maker. I'm a big fan of this guy. And if I have Durant, Markkanen, and Maxey, I have so much spacing and shooting on the floor in my big lineups, in my important lineup. So I feel good about that.
It's the right pick. I almost went Maxey over Booker just because I like him with the ball in his hands a little bit more, and I just wonder, his stats haven't been great, but he's been overtaxed and asked to do so much in Philly this year. What would that look like in a hypothetical team next to Zion who could shoulder more of that scoring load? Could Maxey just get back to what he was last year, which was extremely efficient and awesome with the ball in his hands, not having to do the pull-up threes and all that stuff? But I just went with the more proven guy with Devin Booker, but it was close. I really did think about Maxey. It's the right pick here.
All right, who's your pick?
I'm going Miles Bridges. He's been awesome lately. I know nobody's watching Charlotte, but he's been phenomenal.
He
He's
had
been their best
46, 46 against Cleveland recently, and like a very, very good performance from him.
player. And he's shooting and making a lot of threes lately. Defensively, he's almost back to what he was a couple of years ago in terms of the physicality and ability to match up against guys, but he's still really versatile. The athleticism, again, not quite what it used to be, but it's still there. He can play above the rim. And more importantly, he spaces the floor now, which is a huge thing when I have Zion. Pretty much when I'm building this thing out, I got to always kind of consider that. Not to tip my hand too much there, but I'm going Bridges. I like it. And I've got, he's a guy who could play the 4 when Zion's playing the 5, or he could play the 3 when Zion's playing the 4 alongside a more traditional center. So it gives me some lineup flexibility there too.
You're going to have so many dunks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just going to be, like, wrecking the rim again. And against certain teams, like, that can be a really effective strategy. I'm actually, like Wes, like, waiting for there to be a team in the next couple of years whose whole thing is just, like, we don't really care about threes. We just want to wreck you with the rim. I'm, like, waiting for a team to be built that way. Like, with just enough shooting to space it, and then just, like, we're going downhill every other time. I'm, like, waiting for a team to try to build that way.
Yeah, like the bizarro world Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I want like they're like we
They
just
have 50 dunks a game instead of 53s a game.
Yeah, and it's just like the GM's just like, you know what, like I love running the football and I love dunking, and it's just like I want to make it dirty again, and just like a very physical, nasty team. Like I'm waiting for that kind of team to exist again. I think it's like an obvious swerve, frankly.
Giannis would be your first pick in building whatever team that is.
Yes, Giannis
Zion
and like,
might be the next one after that.
And you need like you do need to play a tempo, and you need like you need one of like the point guards that can just bolt up the floor. Like I don't want a Trae Young you want Ja, but if you depending on your star power situation, like can at least get like the just a guy who's fast and can pass and shoot. Like you have to the mix of guys there would be really interesting. But I want to see a team swerve. I think like we're due for like a swerve like that. Frankly, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, you took Miles Bridges.
Before you make your next pick,
yes,
your big 3 now that you're building around Kevin Durant, Lauri Markanen, and Tyrese Maxey. Is that better than the Phoenix big 3?
Yes.
In terms of a foundation that you're building on?
Yes. You know why? Because Bradley Beal's not involved in it, Wes. Like it's like I don't mean to be crude, but like that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, make your pick.
You're just like, damn. I was trying to have a conversation. It's just like
No, you're right. No, you're right. I thought it was an interesting thing to bring up, but probably not.
This is where it gets weird. I'm not gonna lie. This is where I'm like, is Wes gonna make fun of me if I do something? Probably.
This is the part of the draft where we get to flex our ball knowing skills here, because there's some names that are still out there that most people might be like, well, duh, just take that guy. And frankly, some of those guys that people might be like, duh, take that guy, aren't even on my big board here.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing it.
Just do the ball knowing thing. Remember, this is not an all-star team, folks.
Yeah.
We're trying to win games.
So, Wes, I'm just gonna do it.
Go ahead and take Jordan Poole here.
I'm picking the man of the moment, and that's Quentin Grimes.
This is really high for Quentin Grimes.
Yes. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I deserve it. Here's the thing. 46 the other night. Amazing rebound of a career. I got the perfect role guy for my team. Can play the 2. I can slide him up to the 3 in spots. Like, I just want a guy who fits my team, and I'm not really worried about having overpicked him. I just think he's awesome. His stock probably got like way too low, and I was part of like what happened to him kind of thing. But he got lost in the shuffle. He got hurt in Detroit, lost in the shuffle in Dallas, flipped to Philadelphia this year, and like Philly, if they have like a good thing, it's like that they have Quentin Grimes that they can keep in the summer in RFA probably, and like do a good job of manipulating the market and be in a good spot to keep him, because he has gotten back to the guy the Knicks had that was like one of the most beloved role players in the league there for a stretch among like NBA nerds, excuse me, like not the draft nerds, but like that's a guy that I'm like I could be happy about having Quentin Grimes.
All right.
Here's the thing. There's certain star players we could take that I don't really want in building a team.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Quentin Grimes, good for you, man. Like the thing about Quentin Grimes, I'll give it to you here. He might steal you He could be the Nemhard of your team, where he just
that's what I'm saying.
pops off for one game in a series, and you're like, we kind of went into their place and stole this game because Grimes just popped off for 34 points.
Yeah. Two-way player. I got him.
Yeah, I don't hate it. All right, so I've got a shooting guard and 2 forwards, basically. This is the weird part of the draft, huh?
Yeah, I told you, and then I took Quentin Grimes. You laughed at me.
All right. I feel like I need this guy. It also might be a little early for him. But nobody else on this list comes close to his skill set. And I'm trying to make it through the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I need a guy who can defend wings, who could be the linchpin of my defense. And right now, I just don't really have that guy. I've got Miles Bridges, but that doesn't feel like quite enough there.
No.
And I don't want you to take this guy. And I feel like I can find ways to patch up the rest of my roster, but I really need somebody like this, and he's the best guy on the board like this. I'm going Toumani Camara.
God damn it. I was between Grimes and him. I love Toumani Camara. He's so good. He is so good, Wes.
He's awesome. He's awesome. Portland has a knack of finding these kinds of guys. A few years ago, it was Josh Hart. Now it's Toumani Camara. His length, his fight defensively, his ability to get over screens, stick with guys, and just his MFingness. This guy needs to be in a playoff series, and it's a shame that he's not going to be. But he's a great guy for Portland to have, and they should not give him up. But in our fantasy draft here, I'm grabbing him. Again, doesn't necessarily fill a need for me, but he might end up being my 6th man in the way that he can unlock some lineups, but he's going to be one of my 4 most important players. I have no doubt about it, and he's going to be really important. I don't know. Is the idea that one of us tries to get through the East or the West? I'm not really.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. So this would have been earlier in the show when you usually correct me on what I don't.
Yeah, I forgot about this part.
So what do you want, the East or the West? I'll let you pick.
Well, now that I've seen my team.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So here's the thing.
Let's just coin flip it.
I'll take. No, here's the thing. I'll take. Yeah. Oh, let's coin flip it.
Okay. Winner gets the Eastern Conference of the coin flip.
Okay.
All right. You take heads or tails?
Heads.
It's tails, so I get the Eastern Conference.
Okay, so I got to go through West.
Okay. So in the East, I need somebody that's going to be able to defend Tatum, but also with Camara, I got a guy who can go out and guard Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Tyrese Halliburton. He's Cade Cunningham. I feel like he's going to just be my Swiss Army knife defender, and I feel like every team it's going to make a long run kind of needs that guy. So I've got Camara there.
Okay, it's a good pick. He's really, really good. I love watching that guy play. He's so physical. He's so aggressive. He's so big, and uses his size really well. Like that. That's a really damn good basketball player. I'm a big, big fan. Okay. Making sure this guy's not hurt because I don't trust myself now, and I need a center. I need someone who's a little nasty. I'm gonna take Nic Claxton.
It's a good pick.
Another guy on these bad teams that I really like. I think Claxton plays really hard. He's not scared to get dunked on. He's not scared to go for blocks. Do I trust if I'm defending, Jokic, or do I know what I'm getting as far as him defending high level center play in the playoffs? I don't. Certainly having a little bit of a down shooting here, which I don't love. But I think that guy's physical. He will try to block shots. He will rebound. He will be a good presence in the center of the floor for me. I can live with, maybe just with better creation, he can get better looks at the rim and kind of get that percentage back up near 60% on twos, where he's been most of his career. A couple years ago was above 70%, and he's just kind of dipped since then. I think I can get more out of him with a better team, and I think in the playoffs his role would be so defined that I would feel comfortable with him as my backup 5 more than some of the other options out there. Not a great center class among these teams, I would say.
No, that was kind of the hardest part here to pick. So it's a good one. I'm sort of just deferring. I'm kind of treating center as kicker in my fantasy football draft. I'm just going to take one in the last round and just kind of figure it out. Especially because you took the obvious one that's on the board, and now I don't really think that there's a major difference between some of these guys. But that was also part of the reasoning why I took Zion with my number 1 pick. Is now my best. I'm going to close with Zion at the 5 probably. So I don't really need a center as much as I would have maybe if I had taken somebody else. All right, I am going to go ahead and, wow, the way that my board is kind of shaping up, this is going to get a little weird.
Yeah.
So we have 3 more picks. I have 3 more picks. We have 2 more picks.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Do you want to recap? Should we let's recap teams? I'll give you a check.
Wait. After this pick.
Okay.
I'm going to, because I'm between 2 guys. Let's see here. Just looking up this guy's these stats that are all right. Man, I don't know that this makes any sense, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's fine.
Give me Cam Johnson.
So I that was gonna be my next pick. I think this is like an obvious value pick. Honestly, like regardless of your roster, it's like you get a big forward who can shoot. Every team needs big guys who can shoot.
Right, and he's shooting 40% from 3. He's a good enough defender. I feel like now I can switch pretty much everything. I don't know that this lineup makes any sense because I've got Booker. Like, is my closing lineup Booker, Camara, Bridges, Cam Johnson, Zion? Maybe.
Yeah, might be.
So I've got 2 more picks after this, but I feel pretty good. Now I can just fill some needs. You're up. All right. Let's do the recap, though. Go ahead. Recap your team.
All right, so my team is Kevin Durant, Lauri Markanen, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, and Nic Claxton.
Do you think that's your starting lineup?
Yes. If the rest of the draft plays out how I think it is going to, then yes.
Yep.
Wes has Zion, Booker, Miles Bridges, Toumani Camara, and Cam Johnson. I don't think that's your starting 5.
It's probably not going to be, no.
No. Okay. I'm going to go, and I'm going to take Malik Monk.
It's a good pick. Wait,
I'm just going to get...
He doesn't count.
What? Are they in the top 10?
Yeah.
Oh, I was looking last night. Were they not? I thought they were 11 for some reason.
That's Phoenix.
All right. Can't take Malik Monk. Oh, he's not. That's my fault. That's just my fault. It's on my list. Don't know. Oh, you know why he was on my list, Wes? Because we decided before the show started to cut from 8. When I had 8, I forgot to take him off. So I can't take Malik Monk. I am going to take Deni Avdija. I just need a forward.
It's great value here. The only reason I didn't take him was because I just needed floor spacers, but he's easily the best player on the board and has been for probably 2 rounds now.
Really good player on a really good contract for Portland. Another just like guy on Portland I like, even if I don't know where that team's 100% going as of yet. It's still very unclear, but he's part of the reason that team's fun to watch and a pain in the ass to play against. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of size now in the wing with him, with Markkanen. You know, Grimes can defend up a little bit. I have at least some size here on the wing, and I feel good about using. He's a bench guy for me, but I can come in and if I have to throw him at a lead scorer for a little bit, it's totally not going to work 100%. But I at least feel like he has a pulse out there, which is something.
Man, do I go big or do I go home here, huh?
There is like literally a name that is like one of the biggest stars in the league that is just like staring at all of us in the face, and we're just like, nah, I'm good.
Anfernee Simons. We're doing a run on the Blazers.
I love Simons.
Blazers. Here's the thing about Simons. I think this is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league that nobody talks about.
Sure.
And the stats are what the stats are, and they show that. High volume, shoots 38 to 40% pretty much every year. I think some of those shots are a little bit more difficult. If you were to get easier shots on a team like mine, I think this guy could easily kind of go up a notch in terms of his 3-point shooting percentage and efficiency there. And my anecdotal story with Anfernee Simons is I remember watching him in Summer League, I think going into his second year in the small gym in the Thomas & Mack Center, and just watching this guy not miss at all, ever. I think this guy is a super smooth shooter. I think he's more natural. To me, I was between him and Jordan Poole, and if you look at their stats, they're pretty similar. I know Jordan Poole could be part of a winning team, I guess, or he has been at least. Where with Simons, I don't really know that, but this is me scouting. I think Simons just more natural of a scorer, more a natural shooter than Jordan Poole is. I like his disposition. I like his competitiveness. And there's going to be moments in some of these games where I'm just going to need a lights out 3-point shooter. And I don't really have that on my roster. And now I do.
Look, I think it's a really good pick. He is one of the guys I think that is like, whether he's on them in the future, whether he goes somewhere else, I think that's a guy who can play on a playoff team in the role that you've kind of outlined for him. Easier shots, probably a 6-man. But like he would make like the Magic better right now,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like he would make one of these teams just make an absolute ton of sense.
And he's flashed some on ball like playmaking juice this year when Scoot was demoted from the starting lineup and Shaedon Sharpe. That's not really his game. Deni Avdija does a lot of that for Portland, but Anfernee Simons has kind of kicked that up a notch too. So I like his ability to do stuff on the ball a little bit.
All right. So what do I need here? I have couple wing defenders. I have a lot. Do I go big or do I want another guard? This is where I'm really just like very apathetic to like all my options. Like it's a lot of blah.
What do you have? One big man?
Yeah, but like I have Markanen.
Yeah.
I don't really want like Aiden or Klingon. I like Klingon. I don't really know if that's where I want to use my real estate here. Like.
Mm-hmm. There's some good players on the board still.
There's good players on the board. It's like a question of like what do I take? Do I double down on a strength? Do I get another guy who can like handle a little bit? I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go role guy, Wes, and I think I'm gonna go ball. I'm gonna go ball handler, pesky guy with irrational confidence.
It's a good pick.
And I'm gonna take Dennis Schroeder.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. Okay.
What did you? I'm gonna take Dennis Schroeder. Brooklyn Nets, Dennis Schroeder. Or is he in the Pistons?
He is back on the Nets now.
Is he? Or am I misremembering this? Was he on the Pistons? No, he's on the Pistons. No, he's on the Pistons. That's
he's on the Pistons. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was on there. Look, I'm just messing up a lot today. Stuff. I'm gonna go Jerami Grant. I'm just gonna take another Blazer. I'm just gonna take a guy who can space and shoot and be big. Do I love it? No. Is it something? Yes.
All right, last pick. I need a big guy. Just give me Walker Kessler.
Okay, it's a good one. Who are your center options? It was like Kessler.
Yeah, so it was Kessler, Jakob Poeltl, Andre Drummond, Mark Williams, Alex Sarr. That's pretty much where I was there. I was between Jakob Poeltl is probably the best center in this group. Yeah. I probably should have just taken Jakob Poeltl there.
I mean, you want to do it.
Play him at the end of games, and my biggest
swap. You want to put him in? That's fine. You can do it.
Yeah, just give me Jakob Poeltl over Walker Kessler because now I got a guy who can defend the rim. He's big, sets really good screens. He could be a big part of my offense. And my biggest problem with him is that he just can't make his free throws, but he's not going to be on the court for me at the end of the games anyway, so it's fine.
Who did you think I was taking when I messed up?
I thought you were going Bruce Brown because you said pest and can handle the ball a little bit.
Yeah, it's just been so long for him in like these situations that I'm just like, what are we getting now?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're ways away from Bruce Brown, like really impact playoff guy. Not that he couldn't do it again, but it's been a minute.
All right, so
we got to do coaches.
Coaches, okay. You get first pick.
I'm gonna take Jordi Fernandez.
I knew you would.
Thank you. I'm in the bag for Jordi Fernandez. I think he's really smart. I think he runs good sets. He'll get the most out of what I can do offensively here. I didn't really want to take Chauncey as far as like getting another Blazer. I don't want Bud. None of these other coaches quite move me. We don't have like a great coach that has slipped into the bottom of the league, particularly with Popovich being out. So I'm gonna go Jordi.
I'll just take Will Hardy.
Okay.
I think he's a little overrated as a coach because he draws up cool sets, and NBA Twitter likes that. But I also think he's a good coach, and I like his disposition. I think he'll have my team ready to go, and he's creative enough to figure out the Zion stuff. So I think he's the right coach for this team.
Anyone notable? I mean, obviously, I think Wes, the big name we didn't
Let's
draft.
do the all snubs team really quick.
LaMelo Ball is the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Barnes.
Yep.
Where are you at on Scotty Barnes?
I'm closer to being out on Scotty Barnes. I think he's good. I just don't think he's good enough to be the guy who you build it all around. And then if you're not building it all around him, what are you doing with him? That's my big question. Because the shooting is what it is. He's not really a threat off the ball whatsoever. Defensively, you wish he was a little bit better than he is.
Yes.
He's taken a step back from being an all-star. I don't know. To me, it's too many step forward, step backs. I need him to put it all together. I would love to be wrong because I love the idea of his game and I think he's a nice guy and all this stuff. Like everything you hear about him, he seems like a good guy. But I just don't know that he's got that it factor. And so I couldn't figure out, like, if you're building a team around Zion, or in your case, if you're building a team, around Kevin Durant, Lauri Markanen, and Tyrese Maxey, it's just where does he fit in? So I understand why none of us took him.
Yeah, LaMelo, it's the same thing. It's like we have our lead guys, and guys I think you trust a little bit more. It's like that is like a KS agent you're just throwing in there, and what do you do with it?
Jordan Poole's the other guy.
Marcus Smart, probably another one.
Marcus
He's out
Smart.
with illness. He's out with
Chris
illness
Paul,
right now.
But Devin Vassell.
I thought about Castle just to take like the young guy and just like see what happens, but
me too. But his shooting is such a negative. It's just so hard to build playoff lineups around him.
Yeah. All right. So which one of our teams, Wes, is
Gershon Yabusele?
I mean, our guy. That's your guy more than our guy. So which of our teams is better? Who actually?
Well,
rises that better?
I feel like the exercise should be like. First of all, I think my team's better. I think that's clear. But isn't let's see. Let's put your team in the Madden simulator and try to see if they can get through the Western Conference. So I'm assuming that they just take the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Right.
I think both these teams are getting smoked in round one, and it doesn't matter. It's kind of the thing.
So you've got your team against the Thunder in the first round.
Yeah, and
so
I like
Durant, Markanen. So, your starting 5 would be what against the Thunder?
So Maxey.
Yeah.
Grimes.
Durant, Markanen, Claxton.
Markanen and Claxton, and then so that's my 5. And I think I have to play like Jordi Fernandez is running stuff that is like, how many threes can I take? I'm doing the thing that annoys me about the Boston Celtics to try to win the series. That's the only way.
Yeah, so you're probably getting
series.
into a lot of Markanen Durant front courts with Avdija coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm. A little Jerami Grant in there as well. I mean, I could put like 4 big forwards on the floor and just bomb threes. It's really what I could do.
So I actually don't mind the Claxton thing as a matchup for you. I think he can kind of hang with Chet or Hartenstein. He can get punished by Hartenstein a little bit there, but he's gonna be able to switch. And if he's anything like he was a couple years ago, if he's getting switched out to Shea, nobody's stopping Shea, but you feel better about him doing it than you would any of the other centers that were available in our draft here. So
yeah, I
don't mind that. You just don't really have that guy that gives the Thunder problems, which tends to be these bigger ball handler types. But Kevin Durant can win you a series potentially. I don't know.
It's a big bet on Durant and floor spacing. I think it's a bet like that. I built a math. I built like a math team that is also like has a little bit of like real hoopers, no DNA in it, which is like kind of a weird combo, but that's what we did.
So I'm going against Cleveland in the first round.
Yep.
My starting 5, I'm going to go Booker, Camara, Bridges, Zion, and Jakob Poeltl, with Cameron Johnson and Anfernee Simons coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I got Poeltl to go. That's some size to go up against Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. I like that a little bit. When Cleveland goes small, I feel pretty good with Zion going into the 5 and trying to run pace that way.
I think Mobley is also eating up Zion in that series. It's part of the problem.
That's the problem, right? So I need this. This was going to have to be a big Booker series. This is going to be a lot of mismatch hunting. with Booker on the perimeter trying to get Garland in those matchups.
Yeah, like if the Cavs were to like start Strus, which they've continued to do, this is like a series where by like game 3, Kenny Atkins is like, I have to start DeAndre Hunter because the switches are coming too easy off of Max and hunting Darius Garland. Like that's the.
I'm going hard with Zion Poeltl pick and roll early in this game, and I'm going to try to get one of Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley into foul trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're both losing in 5.
You're probably right. Which team do you think is better?
I think your team has a higher floor. I think my team has a higher ceiling.
Huh. I kind of feel like it's the opposite.
I just think like you have a lot. You have 2 guys. I just think the shooting part of my team is like the ultimate wild card. Like I just have like a bunch of shooting.
Yeah.
And like Durant is sort of like a wild card to me at this point.
Yeah.
Like he is a ceiling raiser more than he's like a floor setter, I think, at this point.
Was this a good exercise for us to do, or was this totally a waste of a podcast?
Here's the thing. It's probably a little bit of a waste, but here's why I liked it. Number 1, we got to talk about some bad teams, which I think it's hard to do at this time of the year. Number 2, I think it's a reminder that like A, there's talent everywhere, but B, that it's really hard. I think it's a reminder of like how even if the league has deeper talent, Wes, that the upper end teams still have a massive gap in a way that is not going away. Like even if we're in a more talented league than ever, the gaps between the really good teams and like the teams at the bottom, even if you combine them, is really, really hard to mend that gap.
Do you have a favorite player that wasn't picked or talked about? And we can kind of, maybe that's the way to close this thing.
Camara, I mean, Camara was like the guy that I was probably going to draft him, but if no one drafted him, I think that would have been a mistake. I'm trying to think. There's not like some of these teams I don't really have guys that I enjoy watching if I'm keeping it 100. Looking at the Blazers roster to remind myself.
Can I give you 3 names?
Yeah, please.
Love Jamal Shed in Toronto.
Yeah.
Just love his competitiveness. Love the way he plays defense, picks up full court. I kind of wish they would have just kept Davion Mitchell and have 2 of these guys. I get why they had to trade one and why you had to trade Davion because he's going to be a restricted free agent here. But the fact that they had 2 of these kinds of guys on their roster kind of felt interesting and fun. Keon Johnson has been a real find for Brooklyn. He's just sort of he's like Toumani Camara light. He's just kind of a do-it-all kind of guy. A little bit more scoring juice than Camara probably, but I like what he's been giving them. And then Jared Butler for the Sixers has just been steady with the ball in his hands. I think, if we would have expanded this draft out to 9 or 10, I probably would have, if we would have extended this draft out to like 10, I probably would have ended up with one of those guys.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 to end. I would say Colin Sexton for me is one that I'm always going to buy stock on that guy. I think the work ethic, I think his ability to like score in a couple different ways, even if it looks a little bit rough. Like I think that guy is probably going to be like a decent bench scorer on a good team again at some point, and I think he has the work ethic and the mindset to succeed, even if there are some challenges there as far as like what his height is, what his discipline is, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, Wes, I was thinking about the Wizards. And I can't say that I am fully sort of in on the Wizards as like what they are doing, because how could you be? But the more I watch Koulibaly, I still just am like, I think there's something here that is going to explode at some point. I don't know when, but he's played a lot of minutes for them this year. He still can't shoot it, but I like everything about the way he's sort of playing, even if it hasn't come together yet.
Yeah, I would have taken him if it wasn't for this hamstring thing. I think he's awesome. He's just one of those Swiss Army knife guys. Flashes the ability to be like a really good scorer in the NBA. There's just so much potential there.
Under 30% from 3 is the part that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Has to.
Yeah.
Has to. All right. I don't think this was a waste of time, Wes. Podcasting with you for me is never a waste of time.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. All right, we'll be back later this week. We are going to talk about a big Wednesday night slate in NBA and anything else that comes up between now and then. The NBA is always moving. It is always shaking. There's always something happening. The game particularly we're going to cover on Thursday is Lakers-Nuggets. That is a 10 p.m. game, so we'll cover this today after kind of give you our thousands.
As long as the people play.
Bro, okay, can I... This isn't... Just, we'll end this. Maybe this is something we can pick up on Thursday. Steph Curry, like, Jokic and Murray sitting out that game, and then Curry also being like, Curry is exhausted, is reason, like, that should be reason enough that we're, like, less than a month from the playoffs, and teams are like, our guys are cooked. Why are we playing 82 games then?
Yep.
Like, what are we doing?
Yep.
Also, Cavs Kings Wednesday. Could be a fun one.
Could be. No, if you're a playoff team, why would you play your main guys in second nights of back-to-back at this point? It makes no sense. Even for seeding, it doesn't make any sense. You'd rather be healthy.
You'd rather be healthy and roll your dices there. All right, we'll end there. Chris Manning, Wes Goldberg, Just Basketball Show. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you then.